Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. Liftoff.
Hello. What is up, family? This is Interplanetary Monkeys with Hunter Klein. You guys know the deal. Episode number 47. And it's an absolutely beautiful day here in Arizona, guys. I hope everyone's doing well, feeling good, pushing through, enjoying your high if you're at one, and battling through your low if you're in the rut. Okay? Things have been interesting for me recently, guys. Things have been interesting. My life has become a lot more busy, right? I got a job in the service industry. I work at a restaurant now. So when I'm not at school during the day, I'm working and interacting with humans and servicing other humans in the evenings. My weekends are much more busy. I have a lot less free time. There's a lot more instances of me not doing much or sitting around and feeling shitty about not being productive. Or not getting myself closer to where I want to be and where I want to achieve, guys. And I feel better than ever. It's so strange that, removing time of leisure, removing time of what normal people would consider joy, removing that and just stacking on work and keeping myself busy. Who knew that would be the key to another level of joy and happiness? We don't have as much free time to mess around on the computer or listen to podcasts and pick up tips from other big podcasters, but we are getting a lot closer to accomplishing things that we need to right now. This being increasing our funds because graduate school pays like shit. Okay, meeting new people in the area, expanding my community. All right, and one thing I'm noticing now that I am working a lot more, that I am busy around every turn, that there are few days, few evenings, very few weekends where I actually have free time, is that free time is much, much more enjoyable, guys. Right? It's the duality of it. And I was starting to get stagnant. I was starting to get used to it. I wasn't enjoying my free time as much. It became a burden almost. It became a burden. And luckily I had that spark to kind of turn things up a notch. And for the first time in a long time, I'm starting to get a taste of old Hunter, undergraduate Hunter who would grind classes from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and go to meetings. I haven't had that. I haven't had the work ethic I do now. I haven't been operating at the level I am now since back in my heyday in undergrad when I had classes and, we were trying to make it out of Nebraska. So overall, guys, things are going well. I'm working more than ever. I have less free time than ever, but I'm feeling as good as I have in years. It's beautiful, friends. Okay. And this whole service industry, guys, the service industry will make you appreciate kind and genuine people straight up. Holy hell, guys, some of the people you run into in this world. I don't know if it's because I'm in the Scottsdale area or if it's just the fact that I'm meeting a lot of people, but some of these humans walking around, guys, are absolutely struggling. Okay, I had someone call me this last Thursday about a reservation on our patio. It's around 65 degrees outside, a little cloudy. This is very cold for Arizonians. Hey, if you're from other parts of the world like Nebraska or Maine or New York, right, 65 degrees, you're running outside with shorts and a t-shirt. And here in Arizona, if it's 65 degrees and cloudy, people are pulling out the thickest fucking winter jackets you've ever seen. Okay, so this is cold for people around here. Okay, but someone calls in, I call them about a reservation, and it's somewhat chilly outside. And I ask, we have you on the patio outside. How does that sound? And she says, is it going to be cold out there? Okay. Excuse me. How about you Fucking step outside for 3 seconds and uncover this mystery for yourself, Elon Musk. Okay. Well, ma'am, we've actually terraformed our square block. Okay, and our restaurant has its own atmosphere. So bring your swimsuits. It's a steamy 95 degrees here around the clock. I just don't compute with this behavior, guys. Okay, I know this is very strange, but this experience alone was very, very interesting to me and was like, oh, this is my first day. I was like, oh, we are in for a ride at this job. And men, another observation I've gained from my time in service, from my time at this restaurant. This one is for you guys. How about we start being a little more selective about the women we let into our lives, huh? I don't think that's too much to ask. I don't think that's too much to ask at all. Just because she's smoking hot and laughs at your shitty jokes doesn't mean it's time to cash in your chips and sell your soul to this woman, okay? Some of these MFers out here are really missing the target with mate choice, if you ask me, okay? If you go to a restaurant with your girl and she complains to the manager about the lighting because her selfies aren't turning out well, you should put her in a birdcage and drop her off at the local zoo. If you go to a restaurant with your girl and she complains to the waiter about the color of her margarita, you should say you're going to the bathroom, you should exit the restaurant and never fucking look back, friend. Because if you are around these types of women, witnessing these ridiculous habits and not confronting them about it because you want to go home with a Barbie doll, you've lost the game of life, friend. Matter of fact, 100%, you will have lost the game of life. Okay, so guys, we need to tighten up. There's so much of this, guys. There's so much of these beta men walking around with honestly shitty women. I'm sorry, I know this is very judgmental, but from what I can tell, and could say I have a pretty good sense or judgment of character, there's a lot of guys walking around with shitty women because they look like fucking Barbie dolls. They're almost cartoonishly attractive, right? And it's just not good, man. You're not fooling anybody. You're not fooling anybody. I don't know why you'd put yourself through that. Does that really do that much for you guys? You know what? I shouldn't say you guys, because I refuse to believe that any podcast viewer of IP Monkeys falls into this pocket. But these men, does that really do it for them? Is looks 95% of the deciding factor when it comes into mate choice? Because that is 100% what I'm seeing in the world. Right? Being at a restaurant, I see a lot of dates. I see a lot of couples. And I see a lot of couples at different stages of their relationship. Oh my God, guys. I've seen so many awkward first, second, third dates. I'm not sure which date, but you know these guys are fresh off Tinder. Absolutely. Because it's weird. The man really doesn't know how to do it. The man's not really an alpha, so he's not a good leader. He's kind of taking a back seat. He looks uncomfortable. He looks rattled. It's fucking rough to see, guys. And for that guy that is rattled, that is probably has a little more beta characteristics, right? That doesn't really know how to navigate this first date. It doesn't help when the chick you're with, the only reason you're with her is because she's a 10 out of 10. Okay, it doesn't help that the chick you're with is complaining to the waiter or the manager about the lighting in the bathroom because her selfies suck. Okay, if you are a beta male, if you struggle to be a leader, if you don't know how to guide people, if you don't know how to take charge of a situation, maybe get a more intelligent woman for your shoulder, okay? Because beta men do not go well with unintelligent women. That's a hot take, but I truly believe it, guys. I truly fucking believe it. It's been such an interesting ride, guys, and I'm enjoying it a bunch. Okay, work, being busy, in the service industry in general, seeing so many humans, observing interactions. It is beautiful. Going off this little tangent, let's talk about relationships. Oh, baby. Because as a 23-year-old young adult, this is supposed to be my next step, right? I'm supposed to be on this beautiful adventure of finding a woman, buying a home, and starting a family. That sentence gives me anxiety. But really, My testosterone is boiling out of the pot. The only question my grandpa asked me on the phone is, how is your love life? And every man, every woman for miles is talking about how awesome love is. So we need to figure this out. So let's figure this out. Okay. Problem number one for me, possibilities. Okay. There are so many beautiful people in this world, guys. A few bad eggs here and there. But you can find some real, genuine, and wonderful humans out there. How is it that you can be comfortable claiming a woman or a man as the love of your life when you've barely dipped your feet into this reservoir of amazing humans the world has to offer? Don't people want to explore at the very least? Aren't people curious even in the slightest bit? I don't see how someone can grow up in a town of 2,000 people, barely ever leave that town, find a woman or man out of that pool of 2,000 people, and feel comfortable saying that this is the one for me. This is the absolute best person on earth for me, and I want to give the rest of my life to you, even though I've only met 500 fucking women or men in my life. What? I don't mean to shit on love here, guys, but I highly doubt this is the case. In this example, this man or woman you've chosen in this small town you've never left is the love of your life and the best person for you. I don't believe it. I'd be willing to bet money that it's not the case. So are these people turning a blind eye to that? Are these people just completely losing perspective and any mental cognition to think about this just so they can not be alone? I don't know, guys. I don't know. Now, you may be thinking this mindset could be dangerous, Hunter, right? This idea of you need to continue to explore. There's 7 billion people on Earth and you're afraid of not exploring as every possible option, Hunter? No. Okay, I understand this. I understand that this perspective can be dangerous, but you don't have to take it that far. I'm not saying you need to wait until you're 60 and have traveled across the world to find a husband or wife. I'm not saying you need to fucking go on 70,000 Tinder dates before you claim one as someone who's the one for you. What I'm saying is, I feel that you have to be patient with it. Okay, maintain perspective. Stay curious. Don't cash in your chips on the first chick that gets your jokes, you know? I just don't get it. I see people my age getting married. I see people my age, never leaving their town, never getting out of this town they were born in, and still with that high school girlfriend or high school boyfriend, and getting married and buying a house. And guys, I feel sad. I feel so fucking sad for them. Because you're just kind of sacrificing a huge portion of your life and a huge portion of experiences that are huge for growth. What do you mean you're 21 and you're gonna cash in your chips on this chick? You're never gonna develop You're never gonna develop the skill to be by yourself. You're never gonna truly love yourself. I 100% believe that. If you don't spend an insane amount of time by yourself in your own head, you will never develop those I don't even know what type of skills they are, guys, but that ability to just love yourself, to be by yourself, to be on a journey on your own, to move out of a state on your own, to travel across the world on your own. Right? These people, I know that's one part of it, guys, but there's so much that's missed out on in life, on the human experience. When you commit to marriage before your fucking frontal lobe is even developed. Your frontal lobe, the decision-making part of your brain, fully develops at 25, and some of these motherfuckers are getting married at 22. Guys, it's so sad. All right, and if they're happy, fuck yes, right? It's all relative. Maybe in their world, it is the best thing. But if you pull the camera out, guys, if you pan out the video camera, I think that there's a lot of opportunity missed out there. And when I see it, I truly feel sad. And I truly feel sorry for those individuals. Yeah, guys, I don't even know. I've said it before and I'll say it again. There are some awesome people out there. This is cliche and hurts to say, but there's a lot of fish in the sea, right? That's what they say. A little cringy, but very true. And because of this, because of the opportunities and this desire to make sure I'm not going with the easiest option, it's going to be quite a while before I settle down or start taking relationships too seriously. This is the way I'm thinking about it, guys. I'm not saying it's right, but this is truly how I see this scope of relationships. And this isn't sad, guys. Why is this idea of being on your own sad for so many people? Half the time I hear people talking about relationships, it sounds like they're more of a checked box than it is a true enjoyment. I hear women at work or in the lab talking about their long list of recent boyfriends and how their current boyfriend stacks up, and I just don't understand. Are you really meeting that many 10 out of 10 dudes? No, you're not. Or are you just grabbing every semi-competent male or female on the streets so you don't have to go to bed alone on the weekends? Truly, guys. Truly. This is how I feel. I worry that a lot of relationships are just an agreement between two people that are tired of being lonely, that don't like to be in their own head, two people that don't like to sit in their apartment alone on the weekends. Now, I want to be careful here. This isn't me saying that all relationships aren't quality. There are some that are absolutely beautiful and a benefit to everyone involved, okay? But some of them, if not a large chunk of them, don't seem to be that way at all. Okay, so I'm not rushing into this whole process. I'm taking it nice and easy. No rush, learning more about myself, learning to enjoy my own company more and more every week. And I think that's the way to do it. I mean, that's why I'm on this path. That's why I am so careful about relationships, because I just this idea of getting married so early, this idea of kind of, you know, if life, let's go back to our fig tree story. Life is a fig tree, and each potential future is a fig hanging from this tree. Right? And once you pick one, the rest fall. And I just don't want to, you know, I don't want to drop those figs too soon. I don't want to drop those potential pathways, those potential opportunities, because something feels right now in my 23-year-old brain. I think making a decision that this serious, like marriage, knowing that your brain is not fully developed, knowing that you have no fucking idea what's going on in the world, no one does, but especially as a 22, 23, 24-year-old, making the decision to cash it in is just not the move, okay? Problem number 2 for me in regards to relationships is time. Okay, again, this is just my perspective. I'm not saying this is the golden rule or that you need to write this down and put it in a fucking book and sell it on Amazon, but this is what I'm battling with at this very moment. Okay? I am not where I want to be in life at the moment. Now, this is not depressing. I don't mean this in a depressing sense of I'm not happy about it or I'm sad about where I'm at. I just believe there is still an enormous amount of potential for the journey I am on. And because of that, I feel that I need to put my head down and grind my ass off, leaving me little to no time for relationships. Now, you could argue, Hunter, you don't have enough time to clear out a few nights a week to hang out with a girl. Absolutely, I do. But quality relationships are a lot more than a couple casual hangouts every week. Okay? Quality relationships are being there for life troubles and emotional support, being a phone call away when things hit the fan or a car breaks down. And when these things are considered, guys, I really don't think I'm a top candidate for boyfriend of the year, you know? I really just don't think I have the time or willingness to find the time necessary to support a healthy relationship. Okay? So again, we're in this same pocket. We are taking it nice and easy, staying on path, and spending time with beautiful people we meet along the way, guys. That is a big one. Now, it would be wrong to bring up my issues about relationships and not say that there are 100% benefits to them. There are 100% huge, enormous benefits to relationships. And probably a large reason why people do cash in their chips so early. Why people at 21, 22 are getting married right now. Having that emotional connection is huge. It's good for the mental and helps a ton when things get low. And you get things from a sensual and emotional relationship that you don't get from bros or family. It definitely hits some unique strings in the brain, if you know what I mean. So relationships are a beautiful thing, but it's not something that I think should be picked up willy-nilly. I think a lot of people are doing that. I feel like a lot of people. That's why I've had problems. We've talked about Tinder on here before and Hinge and all these fucking apps, and people are just swiping through, desperately trying to find someone to go on a date with. I just don't think that's the right mentality. Of course, there are success stories with Tinder and Hinge, but if you're in that boat, if you're in a mental space or a place of desperation where you are truly on Tinder or Hinge, swiping every day looking for a date, I don't think that you should be looking for a. I don't think that you should be in that market. I think you should remove yourself from that process. I think that you should delete that app and start fucking hanging out by yourself a little more. And if you get lucky, or if you have the chance to run across someone beautiful on your way, whether it be through work or at a bar or in a class, then take it. But if you're using these apps to go on dates very frequently, I'm not saying you can't use, I'm not saying that I don't think that you can't use these every now and then. If you haven't been on a date in a year or 6 months or 3 months and you want to try one out, yeah, fucking hop on the app. But if you're cycling through fucking apps on this thing like a weekly college class, or you're cycling through dates, if you're going to dates every Tuesday and Thursday like you're a fucking biology major at undergraduate university, you need to reevaluate things. I truly believe that. But what do I know, guys? What do I know? I've gone on like a couple dates in the last 3 years, so obviously my perspective is biased. Obviously, there are some blind spots in the way I'm approaching this, but I don't know, guys. I think there's some truth in there. I absolutely think there's some truth in there, okay? But again, what do I know? What do I know? We finally made it out of this political storm, guys, and it feels damn good. This political storm that has been the last month, and yeah, it's been capped off with the election. We were starting to pick up a little more political content on the podcast leading up, which was justified, I believe. Which was justified. I think it was all our duties as people trying to find something more, as people trying to grow. If you're listening to this podcast, I suspect you're trying to you're trying to gain some knowledge. You're trying to think about life. I believe that the political storm that was the last couple months leading up to this very impactful election was necessary for anybody with that mindset, for anybody that is not necessarily a pawn, I guess, that's just kind of floating around in the world. But following the end of this election, I'm going to be stepping away from politics and getting back into my groove of introspection and outward processing. Okay. And as a result, we will be talking about podcasts much less, or we'll be talking about politics much less on the podcast going forward. Now, a big problem of ours throughout this last year, throughout the last 47 weeks of IP Monkeys, throughout the times of COVID, and throughout the presidential debates, was trying to find reliable information sources. Right? Every fucking article is trying to push an agenda, is trying to drag someone down and lift someone else up. Every journalist is trying to embed their views into their articles so you walk away believing something or agreeing with their opinion. Okay, and this was a huge problem for me, and I suspect a lot of you guys. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about how modern day journalism has lost its definition, and it's getting away from its roots in honesty. We've talked about claims made in debates, not knowing what is fact or fiction. And we've talked about how difficult it was to find reliable and non-biased information during the initial COVID outbreak. And I think that we may have somewhat found a solution. Okay, a non-biased and honest news website. A platform that is doing everything in their power to give the public what they need. And the platform, guys, is called the Epoch News. The EPOCH Times. Did I say news? Sorry, guys. The Epoch Times. All right, the EPOCH Times. And what I can tell from the time I've spent on there, guys, it's legit. The writers are legit. The political articles weren't shitting on one side, and it just felt like journalism. All right, so keep it on your radars, guys. I haven't dove into it too much. Honestly, I've just stepped away from news as of recent. The last time I was on news was like the third day of the election, but by the time we were on that third day, and we still had no confirmation of who the president was, it looked like Biden was going to win. I just assumed he won, and I just stepped away from everything. I was tired of all the shit talking. I was tired of all the floods of political nonsense and who's doing what and who's saying what. And I've just stepped away from it. But soon here, probably next week or in the next two, I'm going to start gathering news articles and current events from the Epoch Times. And I suggest you guys keep it on your radar because it looks like a reliable website, especially in times of social media and such, where we have no idea what's true and what's false, guys. So yeah, keep hammering, keep trying to find the truth, keep trying to grow your brain. One more thing. So all communities, guys, have values, characteristics, and patterns, whether it be a YouTuber that you see online or a streamer you see on Twitch or a news channel you see on cable, right? And what I'm starting to see emerge as a common value between everyone listening to this podcast is that your average Interplanetary Monkeys listener is constantly trying to extract value from life experiences. Whether it be working out our mental health through therapy or finding motivation in Newton's laws, I'm seeing it from every direction. Whether it be direct messages or viewer call-ins, everyone is just trying to be better, guys, and I fucking love it. Okay, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful to see some characteristics float to the surface of this community as we move along, as more people get involved, and as people start to stick around. Right, we're kind of pushing our car on the side of the road. Some people stop by and check it out and keep going, but some stop by, check it out, and think, "Holy shit, this is a group for me." And they stick around, guys, and we're starting to accumulate more of those people, and it's absolutely beautiful. What are you even doing if you're not constantly trying to level up, guys? I know we're about to get motivational. We're about to get real David Goggins, but this is truly how I feel. And you guys know it, and you know it's going to come every now and then, so here it is, okay? What are you even doing if you're not constantly trying to level up? If you're not constantly trying to find that next step, the lesson that whatever experience has to offer, because there's always a lesson to be learned in experiences. There's always something you can take away that you can use to add to your repertoire, no matter how difficult or easy the experience may be, especially in shitty, difficult ones. All right. If you don't have this mindset, you are stagnant. If you're not trying to extract value from experiences in life, especially shitty ones, you are stagnant. You are sitting and you're just taking this bad boy, this game of life, this human consciousness experience, you are taking it for granted 100%. So I am very proud of the community characteristics forming, guys. I am extremely proud. Regardless of your beliefs, your religions, your thoughts on the purpose of life, holy shit, yeah, I went there. The spark of being a human is a belief or faith in a better fucking future, okay? And if you're not constantly working and thinking to make that happen, then what are you doing? What are you doing, family? I think you gave up. I truly do. I truly do. Regardless if you believe in a fucking afterlife or you believe that everything goes black upon death, we can all agree that if you are not moving forward, if you're not trying to grow as a human, you are taking this life for granted. Okay? So I just don't really compute with people that don't think that way. It's hard for me to gain that perspective. It's hard for me to think about a life where you aren't trying to constantly upgrade, a life where you aren't trying to get better every day, a life where you aren't trying to optimize your time, and you've kind of just given up and thrown everything to the side, and it's fucking depressing to think that way. It's absolutely depressing, guys. Okay, so keep hammering, keep pushing, and we're going to continue to try to extract values and talk about them through here, and we use Interplanetary Monkeys podcast as a way that we can, hit a find a weekly baseline, a weekly checkup on our person, on our mental. How are we doing? How have we been doing? What is the next step? Are we stagnant right now? Are we on a high right now? Are we low right now? Okay. I guess that's what we're trying to do. That's absolutely what we're trying to do, guys. Guys, the Interplanetary Monkeys hotline is 602-892-4371. Hit that phone number up. Leave a voicemail. I'll play it back on the episode. We'll fucking enjoy it together. We'll talk through. We've had other people call in before, so if you guys want to check those out, go back a couple episodes, see what it's like to call in, go for it. If you're on the fence about it, if you're like, I want to call in. I've been wanting to call in for a couple weeks, but I just don't know. Fucking do it. Take the leap, friends. Take the leap, guys. We don't have any voicemails this week. I don't think. No, we don't. All right, we're clear for this week. We're clear. But soon it'll come, guys. But soon it will come. What else, guys? Yeah, not much. My experience right now with life is just trying to adapt to my new schedule. This new timeline, this new level of being busy, this new, and it's important to note that something like the podcast, right? The podcast would be, if you really wanted to boil it down, it would be a community that comes together and we kind of outward self-process, I think is a good way to put it. We outward self-process and think about the world and just try to think about how we can extract value. Me being busy, going to work on the weekends, me not having a lot of free time does not take away from content production of the podcast. People are like, well, aren't you too busy to write? I've been getting this. Now that you have a job, are you going to be too busy to write? Is it going to be hard for you to create content? Absolutely not, guys. I think it adds to it more. The little free time I have now is used much more effectively. And doing something like the service industry allows me to farm content. I'm literally farming my job for podcast content. Right? We talked this week about how weird some relationships are and how stupid some guys are about the women they're choosing. Right? And these are things that I come up with on the job while I'm busy, right? The brain never stops thinking. Your mind doesn't. Right? I think the baseline of this podcast, the heart and soul of this podcast, this idea of introspection, outward processing, trying to gain value from things, is not an act. Is not a mode that I have to get in when I record every weekend. It's not something that I have to force to make this content happen. It is it is ingrained in my fucking soul. Now, whether I'm doing this podcast or not, it's still going to happen, right? If this podcast got shut off and I got kicked off the internet, this wouldn't end, all right? These thoughts I have, the only thing that would change in my life is that rather than me talking about them on this podcast, I'd be fucking talking about them to myself in my head like a crazy person. But you're not crazy unless you start talking to yourself, right? If you talk to yourself, you're not crazy unless you start responding to yourself. And then now we're getting into some, we're really pushing the line. Maybe if you are if there are more than two people in your head, well, maybe we should think about getting a therapist, right? Maybe we should think about getting some help. But if you're just simply talking to yourself, maybe an exchange between one or two or three people, I think you're golden, pal. I think you're golden. I don't think we have to worry about any mental health issues. All right. All right, family. Once again, the Interplanetary Monkeys hotline is 602-892-4371. Hit that up, leave a voicemail, get involved, and let's talk about it, guys. I want to know who's listening to the podcast. I don't see names on viewership. I'm seeing the numbers weekly because they fucking email it to me. I try not to look at them because I don't want to monetarily, this is a 10-year project. I don't want to be looking week to week increments, right? You don't look at the stock market every week to decide when you're going to pull your money out. It's a long-term thing. It's the same with this podcast. But I'm seeing numbers. I'm seeing people listen. I'm seeing new people join, but I don't know who is listening, guys. I don't know who is listening, and I would like to hear. I'd like to hear who's out there, who's still here 34 minutes into the podcast listening to this episode. Who's enjoying it? Who's invested? What do you do? What work do you do? What in life gets you going? What do you think about this podcast? What do you think about certain topics we touch on? Right? Because this podcast is like music, guys. For example, I talked about we talk about motivation a lot. I had a guy call in and say he found motivation in Newton laws in a science class. I would never fucking think about that, and we would never talk about that in 20 years on this podcast. But his perspective, for whatever reason, for whatever way his brain is working at that moment, that's what he was thinking, and it brought something new to the table, guys, and that is the goal. That is the goddamn goal, all right? So be good to yourself, stay positive, keep going, don't give up, always get better. Remind yourself of how old you are, how much time you have left, be patient, and rock on, family. Okay, that's it for this week's episode of Interplanetary Monkeys. This is Hunter Klein, and you bet your ass you'll hear from me next week. Peace, peace.